There was a secret Baseball Hall of Fame inductee, rich Russians hire fake ambulances, and Coca-Cola originally contained cocaine. We'll have you rethinking everything you thought you knew for sure. Welcome to another episode of 30 Weird Fun Facts. Buckle up to surprise and amaze everyone in your friends and family. And without wasting any more time, let's get started with Number 1. The teddy bear is named after President Theodore Roosevelt. After he refused to shoot a captured black bear on a hunt, a stuffed animal maker decided to create a bear and name it after the president. Number 2. The Mongolian Navy consists of one small tugboat and 7 men. The landlocked country really has no need of a navy, yet they feel the need to at least have one, if only in name. So the Mongolian Navy is one tugboat with a 7-man crew. But perhaps the saddest part is that only one of them knows how to swim. Number 3. Michelin stars are highly coveted by elite and upscale restaurants the world over. But they're actually given out by the Michelin Tire Company, the same one whose mascot is the marshmallow-like Michelin Man. If you want to get fancy, pronounce it in the original French, Michelin. Number 4. Only 2 people have ever swum the entire length of the 2,350-mile Mississippi River. Slovenian long-distance swimmer Martin Strel in 2002 and American former Navy SEAL Chris Ring in 2015. Strel swam for 68 days in a row. Ring took 1 day off a week, taking 181 days. Number 5. Bumper cars were not supposed to hit each other. Originally, drivers were actually supposed to avoid crashing in spite of chaotic driving. The first company to patent a bumper car was in 1920 named Dodgem. There was a good reason behind Dodgem's marketing of bumper cars for adults and children as a game of collision avoidance. The cars would usually fall apart upon impact. Number 6. Pistol shrimp can make a sound louder than a gun and kill prey using bubbles. Snapping shrimp, also known as pistol shrimp, have a biological mechanism that allows them to fire bubble bullets. That alone is enough to make them memorable, but the resulting sound is a screaming 210 decibels. In comparison, an actual gunshot is only around 150 decibels. Number 7. Lobster was once considered such a garbage food it could only be fed to prisoners. It may be one of the priciest dishes on fancy menus, but lobster used to be so universally disliked that it was only seen fit to feed to prisoners. And even then, there were laws restricting how many days in a row they could have it, lest their punishment be too harsh. Number 8. Germany uncovers 2,000 tons of unexploded bombs every year. Over the course of World War II, the Allied armies dropped roughly 2.7 million tons of bombs over Nazi-occupied Europe. Half of that landed in Germany. Before any construction work can begin in Germany, the ground must undergo extensive surveys to look for unexploded ordnances. One example was from 2011. 45,000 people were evacuated from their homes when a drought revealed 4,000-pound blockbuster bomb lying on the bed of the River Rhine in the middle of Koblenz. Number 9. A singing birthday card has more computer power in it than the entire Allied army of World War II. We bet Hitler, Churchill, Stalin, and Roosevelt would have killed to get their hands on one of those cards. The computer chip within them was so powerful by comparison that it would be inconceivable to the leaders of that time how we simply throw them away. Number 10. People were buried alive so often that bells were attached to their coffins. Due to medicine not being so great, comatose people were sometimes mistakenly buried alive. In order to counteract these potential blunders, people were buried with little bells above ground. These bells were attached to a string, which went into the coffin. If the person were buried alive and later woke up, they would tug on the string that would ring the bell above ground. Someone would hear it and then dig the person out of their premature resting place. Number 11. Charlie Chaplin once lost a Charlie Chaplin look-alike competition. In 1975, a few years before he passed away, Charlie Chaplin entered a look-alike contest in France. He came in third, not first. A theory as to why he didn't win is that he has blue eyes that couldn't be seen in black and white, so the judges didn't recognize him. Whatever the case though, he was apparently a good sport about being bested. Number 12. Bubble wrap was originally intended to be wallpaper. Bubble wrap was invented in 1957 by engineers Alfred W. Fielding and Mark Chavon, who sealed two shower curtains together, creating a smattering of air bubbles, which they initially tried to sell as wallpaper. When that didn't work out, they realized their product could be used for protection in packaging, and they founded Sealed Air Corporation in 1960. When the inventors showed the product to IBM, which had just launched its first mass-produced computers, the tech company became their first big bubble wrap client. And the rest is history. Number 13. Alice in Wonderland syndrome is a condition that makes people feel larger or smaller than they actually are. Anyone who knows the story of Alice in Wonderland is aware of the magical moments when the central character shrinks and grows in size. And while those with the rare Alice in Wonderland syndrome don't actually shapeshift, they do have temporary episodes that make them feel larger or smaller. The spans of distorted perception can also make it seem like things around them are moving further away or closer. Number 14. Nomophobia is the fear of not having a mobile phone. People are increasingly reliant on their devices these days, but for some, the attachment can develop into a serious issue. Those with nomophobia, an abbreviation of no mobile phone phobia, have a fear of not having their phone on them. They get equally freaked out when their battery dies or when there's no network coverage available. One 2019 study by UK firm found that 34% of men and 52% of women currently deal with some form of the condition. Number 15. You can tell the temperature by counting a cricket's chirps. If you're not sure what the temperature is on a hot summer day, just listen to the crickets. According to the Library of Congress, the musical creatures adjust their signature sounds according to the temperature, which means that if you count how many times a cricket chirps in 15 seconds and then add 37, you'll get a number that is a pretty close approximation of the current temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. Number 16. NASA uses countdowns because of a sci-fi film. The countdown Fritz Lang used to create suspense in the rocket launch scene of his 1929 silent film, Frau Immond, didn't just change film history. It also inspired NASA to use countdowns before its own blastoffs. It's not exactly a race against the clock, though. NASA can feel free to pause the clock to check mechanical difficulties. Number 17. A growlery is a place where you go to be alone when you're cranky. Are you having a bad day? Then you might need to visit a growlery. This term was first used by author Charles Dickens in his 1853 novel Bleak House to refer to a place where you go to be alone when you're not feeling particularly chipper. According to the National Park Service, Frederick Douglass had his own growlery outside of his home at Cedar Hill in Washington, D.C. The stone cabin contained a single room with a fireplace, desk, stool, and couch. Number 18. You can taste garlic with your feet. Garlic lovers rejoice. There's now another way you can enjoy the pungent food. If you rub a clove of garlic on the bottom of your bare foot, you'll be able to taste garlic in your mouth. It's all thanks to allicin, the chemical responsible for garlic's unique smell. It can be absorbed through your skin, pass through your bloodstream, and end up in your mouth and nose, making you taste the garlic, even though it never went in your mouth. Number 19. People called 911 when seeing the Milky Way for the first time. In 1994, Los Angeles experienced wide blackouts. But it wasn't the loss of electricity that had residents scared. It was the strange, glowing light in the sky. Hundreds of people called in to report it, only to be told they were actually seeing our galaxy, the Milky Way, for the first time. Light pollution has become so prevalent that people can live their entire lives without ever seeing the natural night sky. Number 20. 2 out of every 3 emails sent is spam. If you dread looking at your inbox, you've got a good reason. In 2018, researchers found that spam emails account for 60 to 70% of all email traffic and up to half of all indexed data on the internet. Number 21. You can rent out an entire country. Country clubs and hotel ballrooms are so passé. If you really want to throw a party everyone will remember, try renting out an entire country for the night. For just $70,000, you can rent Liechtenstein for an evening. If that seems excessive, you can always just rent one of the 6 Austrian villages, 3 German towns, or 1 Swiss ski resort village. Number 22. Chinese tech companies sometimes hire women as programming cheerleaders. The reason for this hiring is to help motivate their socially awkward male employees. The cheerleading job includes buying programmers breakfast, chatting, and playing ping pong. Number 23. In the 1940s, women in the United States advertised products to gain weight and thus become more ideally curvy and beautiful. "Men wouldn't look at me when I was skinny," said one advertisement. "But since I gained 10 pounds this new easy way, I have all the dates I want." Number 24. According to National Institute of Drug Abuse, a US government web portal, Coca-Cola originally contained an estimated 9 milligrams of cocaine per serving, while cocaine was officially removed from the drink's ingredients in 1903. A cocaine-free version of the coca leaf is still used as a flavor additive in the soda. Number 25. The selfie toaster. This is the appliance that indelibly brands its owner's image onto a slice of bread. Burnt Impressions created a novelty toaster that allowed the user to make toast charred with their own selfies. Because what's better in the morning than eating your own face? Number 26. Wings and pizza are the most popular Super Bowl snack. Around 11 million pounds of chips are eaten on Super Bowl Sunday. Additionally, around 4 million pounds of pretzels and 2.5 million pounds of nuts are eaten that day. Number 27. Professional, as well as college football teams, often use the CoreTemp ingestible core body thermometer pill, which was developed by NASA to keep track of astronauts' body temperatures. When a football player's body temperature rises too high, they are removed from play and given first aid. Number 28. The average person will spend 6 months of their life waiting for red lights to turn green. Driving can be a fun and liberating activity, until you get stuck at a red light, that is. The National Association of City Transportation Officials says that the average time spent waiting at a red light is 75 seconds, accounting for approximately 20% of all driving time. That's a whole lot of time doing nothing, and just another reason to switch to public transportation. Number 29. There was a secret Baseball Hall of Fame inductee. In 1988, a bar owner visiting the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York, made a surreptitious addition to the honorees, slipping a photo of his dad wearing a baseball uniform into one of the glass cases. It remained there for 6 years before anyone detected that it did not belong there. Number 30. Rich Russians hire fake ambulances. While ambulance chaser might be an insult in the United States, Russians take their selfish use of emergency vehicles to a whole other level by hiring ambulance taxis. Luxuriously appointed ambulances they hire for $200 an hour that will blast their sirens to speed the passenger through traffic. That's all for today. Subscribe to our channel for more fun videos.